Hello everyone, this goes with section 4.3 for the second part. It's the worksheet that I'm going to explain how to do the back side of it. Excuse me. And what you're doing is, it really is just tied to the unit circle. If you understand the unit circle and you know the unit circle, this is pretty easy. So I'm just trying to reinforce that it's meant to be easy if you know the unit circle. So starting out with sine of theta, sine of some angle is a half. Think of sine as your y value. So where's your y? A half. So thinking of the unit circle, your y values are positive, so that means you have to be above this axis. Y would be a half here at 30 degrees and 150 degrees. Now, I'm looking for you to do it in radians, so from between 0 and 2 pi. So those two locations are going to be pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. So the answer to this question is theta would be pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. Cosine negative square root of 3 over 2. Cosine is your x value. X is negative left of this axis. Your x's are negative left. So square root of 3 over 2, this is going to be one of them, and this would be the other one. And again, dealing in radians, that's going to be 7 pi over 6. So your two answers would be theta is equal to 5 pi over 6 and 7 pi over 6. Oops, 7, that's an awful 7, pi over 6. Secant, I don't have secant memorized, but I do know that secant is related to cosine. Excuse me again. So cosine of theta is going to be negative 1 over the square root of 2. And then when you rationalize it, that's negative square root of 2 over 2. Cosine again is your x value, so it's saying where is your x? Negative square root of 2 over 2. Just like in the previous one, cosines are negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. And in case you have a hard time remembering that, it's quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it goes counterclockwise, starting here with quadrant 1. Cosine negative square root of 2 over 2, that has to do with 45 degrees. So you're here and here, which is going to be 3 pi over 4. And this would be 5 pi over 4. So oops, that's the 4 being a 9 again. So theta is equal to 3 pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4 would be your two angles, and there's a 9 again. Okay, tangents are harder because you have to remember that it's y over x, and it's got a square root of 3 in it. So it's either a multiple of 30 degrees, sorry, this would be a multiple of 60, or a multiple of 30, or a multiple of pi over 3, or pi over 6. It's a multiple of those two. Let me clear this stuff out. This coordinate is negative, whoops, I got it backwards already. It's negative a half, positive square root of 3 over 2. And this coordinate is going to be negative square root of 3 over 2, positive a half. First thing you should recognize is that this negative is telling you that this fraction is less than 0. And the only way you're going to make this fraction less than 0 is if one of those numbers is negative. If they're both negative, then this is going to be positive. Okay, so let's go back and look at the quadrants. The quadrants go plus, plus, minus, plus, minus, minus, and plus, minus. So the only place that this is going to happen is the second quadrant and fourth quadrant, because that's where one of them is positive, one of them is negative. So straight away you know, because it's negative, it's either in quadrant 2 or quadrant 4. Now to get where it's square root of 3, so we got the negative taken care of. To get where it's square root of 3, try one of these. I don't know if it's worth memorizing. I think you just do it. So if I just pick this one first, I've got square root of 3 over 2 over negative a half. You're dividing by negative a half, so you multiply by negative 2. The 2's cancel, and you get negative square root of 3. So I got it on the first guess. It's this angle, and for tangent, you go diagonally, because this quadrant, or this answer down here, is going to be a half negative square root of 3 over 2. So you see it's the same numbers with one of them being positive, one of them being negative. This is 2 pi over 3. And this one is 5 pi over 3. So those would be your two angles. Now, talking again about diagonal, all tangents are going to be the same answer, the same ratio, diagonally. Before I go on to the next one, looking back up here, cosine was negative square root of 3 over 2. Cosine has to deal with your x's, and the x's are going to be the same vertically because it's the same distance over. It's the same x value. So cosine is the same vertically. Think of it as cosine is your x's, where your x is the same. The same is going to be vertically. Sine of a half, that happened here and here. They're the same horizontally. Why? Because sine is your y value. So why are they the same? Because your y values are the same distance up. So they're going to be the same value horizontally. So sines are the same horizontally, cosines are the same vertically. Okay? Tangents are the same diagonally. Alright. Tangent is undefined. Tangent is your y over your x, and that's going to be undefined. And the way you get undefined is you divide by 0. So it's saying, where's your x value 0? It happens here and down here. Those two angles are going to be pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. Where is tangent negative 1? Well, you get a fraction to be equal to 1 when the top is the same as the bottom. Remember that, why am I pausing here? I'm not sure. Okay. The same y values and the same x values occur at all the multiples of 45. And in order to get the fraction to be positive 1, they would have to be the same sign, or minus minus. Again, they're going to happen diagonally. So this answer and this answer for tangent are both going to be equal to 1. This one and this one, it's a minus plus and a plus minus, so they're going to occur here and here. Those two answers are going to be, let's see, that's 3 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. So those would be the answers for this one. Now you're going to use that information, or use that idea of where they're the same to answer the rest of these questions. Sine of theta is equal to negative square root of 3 over 2. So sine is negative below the horizontal axis. Sine is negative square root of 3 over 2, so your y value is negative square root of 3 over 2 at multiples of 60. So this angle and this angle. Boy, those don't look very clear. How about that angle and that angle? Those two angles are going to be, let's see, so that would be 4 pi over 3. For this one, I suppose I should write it over there by it, and then it looks a little more clear. And this one, over here, is going to be 5 pi over 3. Alright? That's going to occur, bring it back, here and here. This is in quadrant 3, and this one is in quadrant 4. That's what these things, I'm just trying to get you guys comfortable with the quadrants. Sine of this angle, well, you already got it, negative square root of 3 over 2. Cosecant is the reciprocal. So it's going to be 2 over negative square root of 3. And when you rationalize it, it becomes negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. Cosine of that angle is your x value, and the x value at that location is negative a half. Secant's the reciprocal, so negative 2. Tangent's going to be your y over your x. Your y value was the negative square root of 3 over 2. And that's going to be over negative a half, multiplied by the reciprocal, and you're going to get square root of 3. Cotangent is the reciprocal of that, so it's 1 over the square root of 3, or positive square root of 3 over 3. The other place, the other set of angles you could have given this information was right here. So sine is the same answer again, negative square root of 3 over 2. The reciprocal, we already did the work, negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. Cosine is your x value here. Your x value there is positive a half. The reciprocal is 2. Tangent, it's going to be the same thing as this. It's just the sine is, oops, not the sine. It's going to, here we go. I'll just write it. Negative square root of 3 over 2 over positive a half this time times 2 over 1. The 2's cancel. Negative square root of 3. And when you take the reciprocal, we did that, but this time it's going to be negative, so negative square root of 3 over 3. So that's how you find the other 5 trig functions given one piece of information. Now, looking at this one, you got tangent negative square root of 3 over 3. A 60 degree in these previous answers gave you negative square root of 3. So this means it's a multiple of 30. And they're negative. So again, one of them has to be positive and one of them has to be negative. So it's going to occur in quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. So if you want, you can go straight down here, fill these in, negative square root of 3 over 3, negative square root of 3 over 3. And the work here you did, see how these are reciprocals? So straight away you know, when you take the reciprocal of these for cotangent, it's going to be a square root of 3. But they're both negative, so negative square root of 3 and negative square root of 3. So we got those taken care of. Now coming back to this, to figure out what angle is it actually, well, your y over x, and your choice is either a square root of 3 over 2 over a half, or it's a half over the square root of 3 over 2. That's the only way you're going to get the square root of 3 to show up. This is going to be a 60, this is going to be a 30. And you just have to do it to figure out which one it is. When I multiply by the reciprocal for this one, you get just the square root of 3. When you do it with this one, 2 over the square root of 3, you get 1 over the square root of 3, which when you rationalize it, is square root of 3 over 3. This is what you're looking for. Again, it's negative, so it's happening here and here. The y value is a half, the x value is a square root of 3 over 2, so you're this angle and this angle, which is going to be 5 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. Not that you necessarily need those angles to do it. What you need is the coordinate. This coordinate is going to be negative square root of 3 over 2, a half. And this angle over here, if I get rid of some of this junk, it's going to be positive square root of 3 over 2, negative a half. Your x value, your y value, sine is your y value for this one, so it's a half. The reciprocal is 2. Cosine is negative square root of 3 over 2. The reciprocal, we've done those right here. Negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. This one in quadrant 4 is going to be negative a half. The reciprocal is negative 2. Cosine is going to be square root of 3. Yeah, it's a heck of a square root. The reciprocal is 2 square roots of 3 over 3. Okay? So that's how you use this information to figure out the other 5 remaining trig functions. The homework on the other side of the sheet is more of these. You're going to find the 2 angles that satisfy the initial condition, write what quadrants they're in. If you need to, go ahead and write the coordinates to go with it, and then you fill out using the definition for sine of theta is just your y value, cosine of theta is just your x value, and tangent of theta is going to be your y over your x, and figure out what the remaining trig functions are.